So here I'm going to go through some questions and I'm going to break it down. If you want to practice this by using a piece of paper, then pause the video. But I am going to go through the questions and break it down how I would find the answer and then tell you the answer. So you probably want to write down the answer straight away and then see what I do, see if it's correct. So first one is, when does the cost of a vehicle motor insurance normally reduce? Well, I've got when you pass your driving test first time, possible. When you don't wear glasses, possible. When you're under 25 or when you're over 25. Oh, under looks good. Bang on. Nope, it's got to be over 25 because I don't think glasses makes a difference and I don't think passing your first driving test because they don't ask about that. So let's check the answer. Oh, got that. Good. Next question. So, what should you do when teaching a profoundly deaf pupil? Okay, so I've done this before. So, learn sign language to give instructions. No, I didn't do that. Write down all the directions for the route. I didn't do that either. Ask the pupil how they would like to communicate with how they would like you to communicate with them. Well, actually, I did. We used to text about how the instructions would be, or give instructions slowly and distinctly while stationary. No, because if they're deaf, that's not going to work. So I did, from my experience, I did that. I communicated with them. So let's see how that goes. Wicked. Good. So next one. What effect does alcohol have on your driving? Okay, so speeds up reactions. Well, not for me, it doesn't. I don't think most people, doesn't make them quicker. It improves your coordination. Definitely not for me. My dancing gets awful, although I think I'm good. It increases your awareness. Nope. It reduces your concentration. So out of all of those, personally for me, that's going to be concentration. Oh, that's good as well. Next question. Why should an approved driving instructor ADI spend time clarifying a pupil's learning goals and needs? Okay, so this is determine the level at which the instruction should begin. Possible, because if they've had experience before, I don't want to start right off at the beginning. To establish the amount of instruction the pupil will need, but that's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we never know how much they need, how much they're going to progress first of all, and then maybe slow down. To understand the general intelligence of the pupil, well, no, it's a lot of it doesn't come down to intelligence. Sometimes you can teach really intelligent people that struggle. To plan how often a pupil will need to have lessons. Now again, no, there's other factors there, and probably not. So I'm going to go determine the level of which instructions should begin. Yeah. Okay, so we've got question 5 here. For a few days, you've been taking medicine that makes you feel drowsy. Today, you feel better, but you still need to take medicine. When should you drive? Only if the journey is necessary. Okay, I could see how you could put that down, but we'll put that to the side. Only if someone goes with you. Okay. Only at night on quiet roads. Only after checking with your doctor. I'm going to go checking with the doctor. It's got to be, isn't it? There you go. Next question. You're teaching a pupil to drive a car smoothly and with good coordination. In which area of activity will this learning mainly take place? It's either sometimes you know or you don't know, but just try and break it down. Emotional. I find emotional works like this: when you've got a pupil learning and they keep steering to the left side of the road when vehicles are coming towards them. That's an emotional side. That's I want to get away from what they perceive to be the danger. So I use emotional logic technique, which is in the little mirror. I've got a little blind spot mirror. If they can see the line and they can see the vehicle coming towards them, it's not over the line, then that pushes the logical side. So I know it's not emotional. Intellectual, as you know, intelligence, again, it's not coordination. Psychological, again, not coordination. So let's go for psychomotor. you go. Another one. What should you do if a pupil drives the rear wheels over a curb when they turn left? So this is very common. It happens in driving lessons all the time. And you can deal with it this way. Tell them that it's a fault that can be avoided by swinging out to the right, or if you're turning left, other vehicles can overtake you. That's fine, so we probably don't want to swing out to the right. Explain the rear wheels cut in when turning left. Okay, we can keep that one there. Ask them to explain why they think this happened. Okay, so that's a good possibility there. Demonstrate how this was caused by turning the steering wheel too late. So this, you know, is plenty of things here which we've got to make sure. So explain that the rear wheel cuts in when turning left. Ask them to explain why they think it happened. Demonstrate how they were caused by turning the steering wheel late. So let's go for ask them to explain why they think it happened. There you go. So what you're doing there is kind of bringing them into the learning process. They might have the answer. If they don't have the answer, then you can both work through it together. Okay, just before starting a journey, you're involved in an argument. What should you do if this has made you feel angry? Okay, so you don't really want to drive if your emotions are all over the place. So start to drive, but open the window first. I don't know whether that would help. Have a small drink of alcohol. Well, that's going to be a big no-no. Drive more slowly than normal and turn your radio on. Again, not so sure on this. I think that makes a difference. Calm down before you start to drive. So obvious answers, but it's very easy to go for the wrong one. So you should try and read the questions and break it down. You get plenty of time. I'm hoping this is right. There you go. We're going for the next question now. What should you do if your pupil stops making progress in their learning? Okay, so you have this a lot of the times when you're a driving instructor. This happens. For me, I would probably not keep on doing the same thing, because people, for me, when I was learning to drive, my instructor used to just keep making me do it again and again, and I'll become very frustrated and just embarrassed, really. So let's have a look. Slow down the pace of instruction. Okay, so if you'd slowed down, I don't know whether that would have helped. Make the pupil have extra lessons to overcome the difficulty. When I was having lessons, I just wanted to get out of the car when he made me keep doing that, so I don't know whether less extra ones would have been good. Discuss blocks to progress and develop strategies to overcome the blocks. Okay, possible. Conclude they have learning difficulties and refer them to a specialist ADI. No, that would have made me feel awful. So it's going to discuss the blocks. It's like a learning plateau, they call it. You know, what you could do is find out what's the reason why, and maybe give it a little bit of a rest. So strategy could be, okay, we're going to come off this for a bit, think about it and go back. So let's hope. Wish my driving instructor had done this. Yay. Next one. What does it mean when another driver flashes their headlights? This is always a good one. So if you look in highway code, flashing just means that they're there, that they exist. So they're warning you of a speed trap. I guess that has happened, but how would you know? They're warning of their presence, so that's a possibility that they're there. They're giving you the right of way. It depends, they could flash. I mean, when I was learning, well, when I passed my test, you learn by this, but I flashed someone that I knew and the car in front of me pulled out. So no, they're signaling that it's safe for you to go. Okay, so I'm going to go for presence, that they're there. Think I'm all right? Yep. Okay, next question. You are teaching a pupil to stop. What should you teach them about using the gears to help them slow down? Okay, second gear should always be selected. I don't know about that. Changing gear isn't always necessary. I'm going to leave that one in my could be. A downward gear change should be made. First gear should always be selected. Well, I know first gear doesn't always have to be selected because you can stop in any gear. Downward gear change should be made. I don't think that's true. Second gear, and again, so I'm going to go changing gear isn't always necessary. The way I understand it is brakes are for slowing, gears are for going. So let's see if I'm correct. Yay. What should you teach your pupils to do when they are learning to turn their vehicle around in the road? Again, not done on the test these days, but I use it all the time in lessons because it's great for coordination and observation and control. So concentrate on looking over their left shoulder. Carry out effective all-round observation. Concentrate on looking over their right shoulder. Check their mirrors continuously. Now, okay, all of these are potentially good parts. I don't know about continuously checking the mirrors, right? Yeah. But all the time when you're teaching someone to drive, it's more about effective observation. Okay, so if we break this down, concentrate on looking over the left shoulder. Is that all you're going to concentrate on? Okay, but surely all-round effective observation is much better. Let's try this. There you go. Yay. Okay, you're teaching a pupil to move away on a downhill gradient. What advice would you give them about the gears? So use the lowest gear available. So lowest was going to be like first. Use the highest, so that could be 7th in some cars, new cars. Use appropriate gear for the gradient, or use a lower gear than normal. You see, to me, it's always appropriate. If it's appropriate, then it's got to be the correct gear, isn't it? So, back you can see how people would go for no, because you could go for a highest gear because people think, well, you wouldn't start in first, you might start in second, or even big hills third. But I would always go for appropriate. Let's see. I hope I don't embarrass myself. There, yay. What should you teach a pupil to do if another driver flashes their headlights? Well, it's the same thing. It's just telling me that they're there. So stay where they are as the signal is an official one. Make progress while the opportunity is available. Correctly interpret what the other driver is going to do. Flash your headlights back at the other driver. Well, let's break this down. If basically the signal means they're there, then we want to interpret. So if someone's stopped and it's safe and you can see their face is, they're maybe smiling at you and they're not looking somewhere else, then it's got to be correctly interpret what the other driver is going to do, I would say. Let's have a look. Yay. Okay, a pupil that's driving is well below driving test standard. What should you do if they insist on taking a driving test? This is an issue at the moment. This happens all the time because of the COVID and no tests. So allow them to use your car if it's fitted with dual controls. I don't think the examiners would be too happy if they're well below. Allow them to take the test just to prove that you were right. Well, okay, again, people can put a lot of pressure on you in this game, and it's not right. So I'm not going to take that one. Refuse to allow them to use your car for the test. That's a possibility. Allow them to take the car for the test, but make the examiners aware. Again, you don't want to get involved in that, and you're the one who owns the car. So I would refuse to allow them to take the test. Remember, you're the professional. If you know they're not test standard, then I'm really sorry, but you're not going. There you go. Your pupil is approaching a crossroads. What advice should you give them if the traffic lights have failed? Okay, so again, this happens, sometimes. I haven't known it that often around Stoke-on-Trent area, but it does happen. So brake and stop only for large vehicles, okay? We'll keep that there, so aside. Be prepared to brake sharply and stop. Brake sharply is really something you want to keep away from. Brake sharply and stop before looking. Again, brake sharply. Be prepared to stop for any traffic. Again, if you look at this, they're all there. They're all like slow down. But the one is be prepared to stop for any traffic, not just large vehicles. So I'm going to go with that one. Okay, so good. Another one right. Why should you provide feedback to your pupil? Well, in life, I like feedback. If I'm doing something someone says, oh, that's really good job you're doing there, but try this little bit this way, that makes it even better. And then I'm thinking, yeah, I'm loving feedback. So let's try this one. To encourage them to move on to learning skills. To encourage them to move on to learning new skills. Okay, that could be. To allow you to record how well you're teaching. Don't know if it's about me. To ensure they know how well they are doing. Okay, that could be one. To tell the pupil what they've done wrong. Okay, so see here, it could be a difficult one here, because to encourage them to move on to learning new skills. Well, let's have a think. If I'm giving someone feedback, that we're not going into a new skill. I'm kind of dealing with the old skills and giving them feedback on what they need to, what they're doing, how they're feeling about it, what they can do a little bit better. So I'm going to take that one away. I'm going to put in to ensure they know how well they're doing. To tell them, to tell the pupil what they've done wrong, to tell them what they've done wrong, to ensure they know what they're doing. I'm going for this one. Yeah. So it's difficult. I totally understand how difficult it is, but we really need to make sure that feedback is there to help them understand how well they're doing and what they need to do to make things better. When should you give feedback to your pupil? Okay, so I used to like feedback kind of at the, maybe if I've done something, so maybe in the middle of it, maybe at the end of it. So only when they make serious error. Okay, we'll put that to the side. Any suitable opportunities, I don't want someone coming in all the time, when they've had a chance to relax at the start of the next lesson. Okay, so I went and dismissed the second one at any suitable opportunity. But if I see the word suitable, I'm going to go for that. So only when they make a serious error. Because could you not give feedback in a positive way? So let's try this. I could be wrong here. Oh, correct. Well done. Another correct one. question 19. What should you do if you have to leave valuables in your car? Okay, so put them in a carrier bag. Don't know what difference that makes. Lock them out of sight. Park near a school entrance. Park near a bus stop. I don't know. I'm thinking if a thief doesn't see them, they're not going to steal them. So I'm going to go for that. There you go. Good. Next question. If you provide a demonstration of a skill in a lesson, how should you follow it up? Okay, so I really like demonstrations. I find they work really well. I find if people have come from different countries and they've had a lot of driving experience, then a demonstration can really be powerful. So when an opportunity for the pupil to check understanding and consolidate by practicing. Okay. With a discussion of possible faults that may occur. With detailed analysis of the manoeuvre carried out. With the introduction of a new subject. Oh, there's a lot here. Jesus, this is quite heavy. So with an opportunity for the pupil to check understanding and consolidate by practicing. Well, that means maybe after the demonstration with a discussion of possible faults that may occur. Okay, that's a possible. With detailed analysis of the manoeuvre carried out. Okay. I'm going to go for the simple one with the introduction of a new subject. I don't know. I'm thinking this is where I'm losing my confidence here, but I'm going to go for that. Oh, it's wrong. There you go. So it's easy to make a mistake. So what are they saying here? Demonstration, where appropriate, is a valuable tool in the learning process. However, for it to be effective, a pupil must have an opportunity to raise any questions and check the understanding. They then need to practice the new skill. Okay, so you're with an opportunity for the pupil to check understanding. Okay, so there you go. Got that one wrong. Damn, no good. Okay, so how can the process of perception be described? So dealing with situations in retrospect, the selective focusing on a given hazard, categorizing and interpreting what they see and hear and feel, defining hazards and pass them on as you pass them. Their perception has got to be gonna go for interpreting what we see. I'm thinking. Good. Yeah, so that is right. Next one. You give instructions in short progressive steps. What's this teaching technique likely to lead to? A sense of boredom in the pupil, a lack of coordination in the driving the vehicle, contemplation of the lesson in shorter time, completion of the lesson in shorter time, sustained interest from the pupil. Oh man, you give instructions in short progressive steps. What's teaching? What's this teaching? Short progressive steps. Okay. So another difficult one. I think maybe if it's short steps, then we're going to go for this. Yeah, because you're giving little bits and you're adding little bits. So yeah, that's good. Yep. You're about to return home from holiday when you become ill. What should you do if a doctor prescribes drugs that are likely to affect your driving? Oh, we've had this one before, haven't we? So don't drive at all. That's got to be the one, isn't it? Slightly easier, these ones. Next one. Which organisations publish guidance about medical conditions that might prevent someone from driving? Okay, so driving vehicle standards, this is one, isn't it? Yeah, the police, you'd be thinking maybe Automobile Association, probably not. So I guess got to go between the DVSA, but they seem to run tests and all of that. The licensing agency's got to be the one that deals with that situation. So yeah, good. What should you do when you've agreed a lesson plan with the pupil? Okay, use the same plan every time the same area of competence is covered in the future. Adapt the lesson plan if it will help the pupil achieve their learning objectives. Keep strictly to the prepared plan. Only continue a lesson plan if the pupil agrees. Okay, so there's a lot of agreement that we need to do with the pupil. So adapt the lesson plan if it will help the pupil achieve their learning objectives. So we want them to learn and learning objectives. So I'm going to go for this one. Let's try this. Okay, good. Because you do here, you need to agree it with the pupil, but if it's going to adapt and help them, that's the better answer. So I like that. You're teaching the pupil to move off from the side of the road. Why should you teach them to look around? To check there's nothing in the blind spot, to avoid failing their driving test because the mirrors may not be adjusted properly, to check the road for signs and speed limits. It's got to be the main one, isn't it? Yeah, which is for safety, which is this. Yep. What should you do? What should an instructor do when they see their pupil commit a driving fault? And this is going to happen all the time in this job, so discuss it at the earliest opportunity, ignore and continue the lesson, use it as a warning to the pupil, talk about it at the end of the lesson. So if you did it at the end of the lesson, they probably would have forget. I would have forgot what's happened. So it's got to be discuss at the earliest opportunity. I find if I have to come in very early because we're in danger, so imagine they are slightly going over the line, turning right, I would come in and prompt, if I have to, slightly pull the steering wheel. If it's because that's us, I've got to get us out of the danger. Or if I can see it happening early and I know it's not a danger, I could just question what position should you be in here, and then soon as I can, I would then deal with it. So it's got to be at the earliest opportunity. Yeah. When should you assess a learner driver's progress? When improvements have been made, continuously using dialogue and feedback at the end of the course of lessons, when the pupil has learned as much as they can at that time. I say continuously, I've got to, haven't I? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, might be wrong. I don't know. Oh yeah, good. Typically, how does aging affect people's driving ability? Okay, older people take more risks. I don't think so. I think they take less risks, or they feel more. But people that I take out there, sometimes you've got to push them forward a bit. Older people have slower reactions, potentially. Older people overestimate their ability. It's more of a young person's trait, I think. Older people drive faster. I'm going to have slower reactions. Yeah. So, a novice driver is able to steer a straight course. How could you help them improve their steering skills? Get them to adjust the mirrors while driving. Keeping well away from that one. Teach them to change gear as often as possible. It's just when necessary, isn't it? Not as possible. So I'm going to take those two out. Teach them to turn corners while changing gear. I'm seeing that's not going to be a good idea. Get them to practice steering with one hand. Yes, that is a really good technique that does build confidence and help them understand that you're not the person holding the car straight, you're guiding the car. So I'm going to go for this one. I'm pretty happy on that. Good. You're teaching a learner driver who is following a slow moving vehicle. You can see a junction ahead on the right. What should you tell your pupil? So you're teaching a learner driver who is following a slow moving vehicle. You can see a junction ahead on the right. What should you tell your pupil? Overtake after checking the mirrors and signalling. Don't know about that. I don't know. Accelerate quickly to overtake before the junction. Don't know about that. To try and overtake. Don't try and overtake until you've passed the junction. Slow down and prepare to overtake on the left. Oh, it's got to be this one, isn't it? Gotta be. Yep. You're teaching a pupil who continually drives too fast. Again, this happens. What should you do to create this problem? Explain what can happen as a result of driving too fast. Let them learn from their experience using dual brake to ensure. No, not that one. I'm not letting them go fast and me slowing them down. That's going to be a battle. Impose a speed limit that impose a speed limit that lower than everyone else's. Well, no, that's not making progress. So other vehicles will get frustrated and will be overtaken all the time. Give more demonstrations than normal. So, it's two here, isn't it? Explain what can happen as a result of driving too fast. I think I'm going to go for this one. Yeah, good. What is the best way to maintain motivation and interest of a pupil having difficulty in learning? Giving them demonstrations when mistakes are made. Okay. Taking time to find out whether the pupil has a preferred learning style. So that's possible, isn't it? Yeah. Keeping strictly to the lesson plan. If you just keep strictly to it, you'll just it's like doing the same thing. Why is this not working? I think Einstein said the sign of stupidity is doing the same thing again and again and again. So I don't know about that one. I'm going to go with Einstein there. Repeating an exercise until they get it right. So again, it's like, come on, you can do it, keep doing it. No. So I'm going to go taking time to find out whether the pupil's preferred learning style. So they might say, look, I like to watch a YouTube video and over between lessons and think about how this is done, if it was about lanes, for example. So I'm going to go find out what they like. Do they like to read? Do they like to watch? Do they like demonstrations? So let's see. Yeah, good. And here we go again. You've been unable to drive due to illness. What must you do before you start your driving again? Okay, so see your doctor. Be satisfied that you're medically fit to drive. I'm thinking the your two here, isn't it? See your doctor. Do you? Okay, let's keep going. Take smaller doses of medicine. Nope. Take all your medicine with you when you drive. Again, no. So it's going to be this. So it's very easy to go and see a doctor, but I'm thinking be satisfied you're medically fit to drive. So that would be the one I'm going for. Because you could go see a doctor for another reason. Oh, let's hope I'm correct. Yeah. Okay, what should you do if your pupil fails to respond to something you're teaching? Talk to them and see if they can identify any reasons why it's not working. Okay, talking to them is always good. Leave it and try again during the next lesson. Okay, repeat yourself until they understand. Oh no, again, that repeating. Oh God, I remember my driver's instructor used to do it all the time. Start from the beginning and tell the pupil to concentrate harder. Oh man, I was concentrating and they used to tell me I've got to concentrate more, so I'm taking those two out. Leave it and try again. You could do, couldn't you? But I think talk to them and see if they can identify reasons why it's not working. So I'm going to go for that. We need to talk more. Yeah. What should you do if you see your pupil commit a driving fault during a lesson? So use it as a warning to the pupil, ignore it and continue with the lesson. Ask them to reflect upon their performance. Tell them about it at the end of the lesson. Now, I am a big fan of reflecting and looking back. We've got reflective logs on our app. Looking back, why did that happen? Why do you think that happened? Because sometimes a fault can happen and maybe someone might think, oh, that's the reason why it's happened, but there's a totally different reason for it. So I'm gonna get them to reflect. There you go. Okay, so which type of glasses shouldn't be worn when driving at night? Okay, so half moon, bifocal, round, tinted. I'm also going for tinted because I think you shouldn't make it worse out there. If it's dark, don't make it even darker. There you go. What will reduce the risk of whiplash injury? So back in the 80s, everyone used to walk around with collars, and in cars, they didn't so much have head restraints. So it wasn't a legal requirement for a car to be built with head restraints. So I'm going to go for head restraints, I'll be honest with you. And it's correctly adjusted head restraint. So if someone was very tall, but the head restraint was very low, it could still be damaged. So always make sure the ears are in the middle of the head restraint. There you go. Yeah, that's me because I grew up in the 80s. So, why do motorcyclists often wear bright clothing? Well, without even looking, I'm thinking it just makes them easier to see. So I'll be going for something like that. Must do so by law, yeah, I'm sure they must do, but actually I'm not sure if they do by law. Actually, bright colours are very popular. It keeps them cool in the summer. It makes them easier for other road users. So this is one, isn't it? You might think to yourself, oh, I know crash helmets you have to wear by law, but do they have to wear bright colours? And actually thinking about it, they don't. So it's got to be this one, the one that I first thought. But you can see how it's easy to make a wrong decision. There you go, correct. Which expense is likely to increase as a result of being convicted of driving while unfit for drink or drugs? Well, again, straight away, for people that I've known this has happened to, it's insurance. Straight away, insurance. So there you go. Vehicle tax doesn't change. Vehicle test certificates doesn't change. Driving license fee. Okay, so the vehicle test certificate, I suppose, could increase if the judge told you to take a new test and you do a splendid test, but it's going to be insurance premium every time, isn't it? I'm thinking. There you go. What is the most important task at the end of every driving lesson? So arrange the next driving lesson. A lot of people might say that. Encourage the people to reflect on their own performance. So I'm putting that in if it's possible. Go over the mistakes they have been made. So yeah, possible, but I think we're doing that as we're running through the driving lesson. Set objectives for the next lesson. So encourage the people to reflect on their own performance. Yep. That's a big possibility. But how about setting objectives for the next lesson? Because that means that's what we're going to practice next week. So it could be between those two, but I'm going to go for this one. Oh, wrong. So there you go. You can see, can't you? Encourage your people to reflect on the performance. So I was thinking, and reflecting throughout the lesson, but then thinking objectives for the next lesson. So it just shows you I got that wrong. Oh, blimey. What should you do if a pupil seems to have reached a point where they've stopped making progress in their learning? So work with the pupil to identify any blocks of learning. So I think we've had this one earlier, so that's possible. Insist to get more practice. Carry on with the set program, so we're going to keep away from that, pushing forward. Cancel the next few lessons. Well, you don't want to be doing that. So I'm going to always work with the pupil. So you can see it's coming up here, same sort of things. Work with the pupil, talk to the pupil. What should you teach your pupil about changing lanes on motorways? Okay, so you should increase speed before you change lanes. Okay. You should signal well before using your mirrors. So you should signal well before using your mirrors. It doesn't say mirrors before signal. I forgot about that one. You should manoeuvre first, then signal. I don't know, not that one. You should start the MSM routine in good time. So I'm going to go with MSM routine. Mirror, signal, manoeuvre. Yeah. So the timing of directions to a pupil is very important. What's the recommended method of doing this? So direct, alert, identify, direct, identify, alert, alert, identify, direct, alert, direct, and identify. So if you're training to be an ADI, it's very easy. It's ADI. So that's alert, direct, and identify. So that's the alert. Next road, I'd like you to turn right. So that's alerting, directing, and identifying. I'm going to go for that. Yeah. And what may help deter a thief from stealing your car? Always keeping the headlights on. That's difficult to do if you're not in your car or it's locked up. Always keeping the interior lights on. Your battery's going to run down. Fitting reflective glass windows. Etching registration number on the window. It's got to be that, hasn't it? Got to be. There you go. What should you do if you go to a social event and need to drive a short time after? Avoid drinking alcohol on an empty stomach. Avoid drinking alcohol completely. Drink plenty of coffee after drinking alcohol. Drink plenty of milk before drinking alcohol. It's got to be this one. What I do, I don't drink. What should you do? Should you remove before leaving your car unattended? So first aid kit, spare bulbs, vehicle documents, or road atlas. So road atlas or vehicle documents is going to be vehicle documents. And you're following a large vehicle approaching a crossroads. The driver of the vehicle signals to turn left. What advice would you give your people? Well, large vehicles, I'm thinking I'm holding back because they might swing out. But overtake if you can, leave plenty of room. Don't overtake until the vehicle begins to turn. Overtake only if there is no oncoming vehicles. Don't overtake when you are approaching a junction. Oh, so you know the right answer, but the way they put it is don't overtake until the vehicle begins to turn. He's a large vehicle, he's beginning, he could stop. So, overtake if you can, leave plenty of room. Overtake only if there's no oncoming vehicles. So don't overtake when you're approaching a junction. I'm probably going to do that one. I don't want to overtake on the way to junctions. Yeah. Okay, what advice should you give a pupil who wishes to overtake a long, slow-moving vehicle on a busy road? Follow closely and keep moving out to see the road ahead. Stay behind until the driver waves you past. Flash your headlights for oncoming vehicles to give way. Keep well back until you can see the roads clear. So this one, follow it closely and keep moving out to sea. I don't want to follow it closely. It's going to restrict my view. Stay behind till the driver waves you past. Well, you might not wave us past, so flash your headlights for oncoming. I don't know why you're flashing your headlights, so it's got to be keep well back until you can see that it's clear, surely. there. What should you do if a pupil gives partially correct answer to a question? So partially correct answer. Stop the pupil from responding further to prevent them from interrupting the flow of the lesson. Ignore the correct part of the response but offer a full explanation. Confirm the correct parts and then help the pupil to work out why the other parts were wrong. Ask the pupil to make more of an effort on their study of the homework. I'm going to go this. Surely this has got to be it. Yeah. What's the most likely outcome of using attainable learning targets for pupil under instruction? So, provide reinforcement of the pupil's progress. They result in the pupil being ready for test too early. They make the pupil struggle to cope with them. They make the learning process longer than normal. So they provide reinforcement for the pupil's progress, surely. Yeah, if they can do stuff, they're going to provide reinforcement that they're moving on. So, yeah, good. How should you use the question and answer technique? Use and searching questions. Save questions until the end of the lesson. Ask questions that require simple yes or no. Try to provoke a negative reaction. I would say searching questions. It's got to be making them think. So yes and no, sort of a closed question. So more of an open question. Get them to think. So this one. Yep. You've just taken some cough medicine given to you by a friend. What should you do before you drive? Ask your friend if taking the medicine affected their driving. Well, they're not a doctor. Check the label to see if the medicine could affect your driving. That's a big possibility. Drink some strong coffee an hour before. Drive a short distance to see if medicine's affecting your driving. Don't do a Dominic Cummings and check your eyesight or if you're suitable for driving. So big no. Drink some coffee. It's probably not going to make a difference, to be honest with you. So it's label, isn't it? The label would know. Okay, so what can be established through an appropriate use of an open question? So an open question. So the pupil's attitude, norms, motivations when learning to drive. The pupil's degree of aptitude and psychomotor skills. Psychomotor skills is more the doing stuff. So the pupil's level of practical and theoretical knowledge. That's possible. If the ADI and the pupil have any interest in common. Well, we're going to take that one away. The pupil's aptitude, norms, motivations when learning to drive. So I'm going to go for this one, I think. Oh, no. The pupil's attitudes and norms and motivations when learning to drive. Okay. So the decisions we make when driving are shaped by our attitude, the norms and motivations, but we're not always aware of these. Open questions can be used to explore these issues without making the pupil defensive. You can work with the pupil to address any unhelpful attitudes. There you go. So, another one wrong there. What's likely to happen if you continually use the steering or the dual controls while you're instructing? What happens if you continually use the steering or the dual controls while you're instructing? It will build your pupil's confidence. I don't know about that. It will undermine trust between you and your pupil. It will help develop the pupil's hazard awareness. It will allow the pupil to concentrate on other aspects of driving. It would make me feel. It'd make me feel undermine my trust, you and your pupil. I think I'm going to go for that. Yeah. If you're always grabbing, if you're always on the steering or the dual controls, then I'm not. Don't know. I feel like I can't do it myself. I'd lose confidence. What should you do if your pupil you're instructing fails to make progress you're expecting? Be patient, continue the well-tried methods, or you're working with other pupils. Ask your pupil if there's a particular problem that's holding them back. Go on more advanced driving situations to speed up the learning progress. Continue to repeat the same exercise. I'm going to go to ask again. You see, I'm thinking, there you go. Ask, talk, all of that. That really helps. What should you tell your pupil why you're teaching the turn in the road exercise? They should use the pavement if the road is narrow and there are no pedestrians. Well, not really. They should avoid using the park brake as it will take too much time. Again, no. They should use all the road only to stop when they hit the curb. Nope. They should look around often and always have the car under control. I am definitely going with that one. Good. What do you need to why do you need to take time to identify your pupil's learning goals? Okay, so this is important. To determine their range of general intelligence? Oh, I don't think so. To help you and your pupil agree the most effective learning plan? That's a good possibility. Determine how much instruction will be required to complete the course. It's difficult, that one, but I don't think so. To confirm the final cost of driving training? No. It's going to be agreed most effective learning plan, which would keep the cost down and work out how much the instruction that they need, what they need. So I'm going to go for this one. Yeah. How should a driving instructor approach each lesson? They should use flexible, adaptable methods to match the pupil's progress. They should keep strictly to their prepared plan. You really want to have a plan, but you don't want to just be strictly to it. They should have relaxed manner, encouraging their pupils to do whatever interests them. Sounds good, but I don't know. They should always include manoeuvres to give value for money. So a lot of people say that, but it's not always necessary if you're working on something. Use flexible, adaptable methods. Yeah, be flexible. Adapt. Yeah. Your doctor has given you a course of medicine. Why should you ask how it will affect you? Well, it could affect your driving, couldn't it? Drugs make you better driver, quickening reactions. No. Some types of medicines can cause reactions to slow down. Yep. You have to let your insurance company know about the medicine. The medicine you take may affect your hearing. So, the course of medicine, why should you ask it will affect you? Because slow down, reaction, slow down. Yeah. Good. Your pupil's knowledge and driving competence improves. What is likely to happen to their level of instructor involvement? Well, decrease. I normally say that you're trying to get me to speak less. There you go. How should driving lessons be planned so that no mistakes are made by the pupil to give them encouragement? So lots of mistakes are made and the instructor can be seen to give value for money. So that lots of mistakes are made to exploit the pupil's weaknesses, so the lessons meets the needs and abilities of pupils. Well, I've got to always go for that one, haven't I? I'm hoping. What do you reckon? Yeah. How should you choose your method of instruction? Use the same method for all pupils? I don't know about that. Use one method for male pupils and other females? Nope. Vary the methods to suit the pupil. Use the method that suits your teaching style. It's all about the pupil, so I can adapt. So I think it's vary the method to suit your pupil. Yep. What could you do to reduce the volume of traffic on the roads? Use a car with a smaller engine, drive in a bus lane, share a car where possible, travel by car all times. So share a car. Got to be, isn't it? What should a deaf pupil be advised to do when they are ready to apply for the driving test? Now, I've taken a few deaf people. It's very, very, it's nice actually. It's really makes you feel really good. You can change people's lives. So, inform the examiner they are deaf on the day. Supply visual instructions for the examiner to use. Declare the hearing impairment when applying for their driving test. Bring a signer with them on the day of the test. Okay, so you don't really need to supply visual instructions for them to use. Signing with you on the day, that's difficult, isn't it? If the guy's signing left or right, it just doesn't make sense, does it? So I found that when I took them up, I informed the driving examiner. They asked, I said they were deaf, and I explained how I give them instructions, like I would point like to the left and to the right or straight ahead. But I would also say that you need to declare the hearing impairment when applying for the driving test. Oh, see, a difficult one because the person put their own test. Oh, so I'm going to go for this one, but I think it could be the other one, but we'll see. Oh, it is this one, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so I'm more likely to go with that one because you can put down any issues when you're booking the test. So good. What can happen if an instructor expectations of the pupil are too high? The pupil will progress at their own rate. The pupil confidence can be damaged. The pupil's learning is reinforced. The pupil's confidence will improve. What can happen if the instructor's expectations of the pupil are too high? That could mean they could take them on roads they're really not ready for. So surely the pupil's confidence could be damaged. Yep. You're teaching a manoeuvre that involves reversing in the road. What should you teach your pupil to do? Look to the rear over their right shoulder. Okay, only. Look to the rear over the left shoulder only. Scan all around directions we're moving. Scan all around, paying particular attention to the direction in which they are moving. Look to the rear using their mirrors. Scan all around particular. Yeah, I'm going to go for this one. Good. So question 68. What do pupils need to do in order to learn to drive safely and responsible? So acquire relevant basic knowledge of driving, have specified aptitudes to driving, take responsibility for the learning from an early stage, fully understand the mechanics of the vehicle. I think taking responsibility of their learning would be possible, but I may be wrong. Yes, there you go. Let's try this one. You're about to drive home. What should you do if you feel tired or have a severe headache? Wait until you feel fit before driving. Drive home if you can. Stay awake for the journey. Drive home after taking medicine for your headache. Wait a short time, then drive home. So it's always going to be wait until you feel fit and well before driving. So let's go for this one. There you go. Part of the MSM routine is referred to by the abbreviation PSL. Well, we know this because we use it every day. So position, slow down, lifesaver. Okay, so some people go for that if they've had experience on a motorbike because they call the blind spot the lifesaver. Then we've got position, speed, look, so we put that in the possibility. Position, signal, look, again people could go for that, but no. Position, speed, lifesaver, so that's that lifesaver again, but it's actually position, speed, look. There you go. Next question. What will the new driver have to do if they accrue 6 or more penalty points on their license within the first 2 years after passing their driving test? Well, this is the New Driver Act, and it is retake the practical test only. You can fall for that. Retake the theory test only, but it's actually retake both theory and practical test. Okay, now reapply for a full license immediately because you do have to reapply for everything, not just take your theory and practical test. People might go for that. It's a really easy one to fall for, but it's why would you reapply for a full license because you wouldn't have a full license. So there. Question 72. Your pupil is approaching a junction where the view is restricted. What should you tell them to do? Stop at the junction, apply the handbrake? Possible. Approach quickly to reduce the likelihood of having to wait? No. Approach slowly and edge forward until they can see, so that's possibility. Stop well before the junction, then move forward for a better look. I bet there's a lot of people that think that, but I think approach slowly. And I bet a lot of people go for stop at junction and apply handbrake. I'm going to go for this one. Yes. Creep and peep. Question 73. What could you do to guard against the risk of a vehicle fire? That's keep water levels above a maximum. People might go for that because they're thinking water, fire. Avoid driving with a fuel tank of petrol. Well, no. But I bet people go for that. Check any strong smells of petrol. Let's put that in the possible one. Always use unleaded petrol. No. So any smells could mean a leak. So let's go for that. Yes. What is meant by transfer learning? Now, before I look at these, what I would think of transfer learning is if, for instance, I had been learning to cross the road since a young age, I could use that knowledge of looking, making sure the road's clear, and pass that on to maybe emerging from a junction. So, when parents take on responsibility for teaching their children to drive, when trainees learn from friends or colleagues, when associations are made with previously learned skills and knowledge, all possible, when pupils learn from their mistakes. People will go for that, I bet, but it's associations, I think, this one. Yes. What should you do if you have to use the dual controls? Well, me, if I use the dual controls, I always tell them I never actually use the dual controls unless I need to. So I know some driving instructors out there use them all the time, but I think, well, if you're learning to drive, then you really shouldn't have me using the dual controls unless it's a critical risk. Then I would. But I would always make sure I tell you. So, say nothing to preserve the pupil's confidence. I bet people go for that. Explain that it will be covered at the end of the lesson. I bet people say that. Ask the pupil if they understand why it was necessary to use them. Say nothing and expect the pupil to understand why. So I'm going to go ask the pupil if they understand why it was necessary. Because you want to know, if you've had to brake, you want them to sort of think, why did the instructor have to do it? Yes. How much verbal instruction is needed to help a pupil attain a good standard of driving? So a consistent amount throughout, regardless of competence? No, just enough to ensure they understand what's required. Potential? More as test date approaches. I would say less. But there you go. None once they reach test standard. I'm going to say just enough. So you don't over-instruct and tell them anything, just enough to understand what's required. Oh, good. So what we've got here, how can you encourage a pupil to develop a good driving attitude? By allowing them to take responsibility as soon as possible. I'm going to put that in the possible. By letting them learn from experience. So what does that mean? Do you know? Good experience, bad experience, negative? I don't know. So we'll leave that. By imposing your will as instructor, or we never do that, we work together as a team. By asking them to study the instruction manuals, can work. But I think this one, by allowing them to take responsibility. Responsibility is always going to be the good word. Yes. Okay. What major advantages does a pupil gain from agreeing on learning objectives? Oh, this is good. They have no need to ask questions of the instructor. They know what's expected from them and able to evaluate their progress, potential. They'll be able to drive the vehicle responsibly with concentration and patience. Okay. They'll know when they'll be ready for their test. Oh, I think this sounds better, doesn't it? Yeah. Your score is 96%, 75 out of 78. So let's have a look. What did I get wrong? If you remember, if you provide demonstration of a skill winning lesson, how should you follow it up? I put with the introduction of a new subject. But this one is with an opportunity for the pupil to check understanding and consolidate practicing. So that was 1 and 2. I got 2 wrong. And here we go. What is the most important task at the end of every driving lesson? So it's set objectives for the next lesson, which you do, but it's encouraged the pupil to reflect on their performance. So I hope me going through these questions, or the next one I got wrong. What can be established through appropriate use of open questions? So I put the pupil's level of practical and theoretical knowledge, and the open questions is pupils' aptitude, norms and motivations when learning to drive, which I agree with, to be honest with you. So there you go, 3 questions wrong. I think I got 4 wrong. No, there you go. So I hope that helps you if you're taking your part 3 soon. Everyone makes mistakes. I've tried to make the mistakes so you can sort of see my train of thought as you go through the questions. So it's quite good to use this to maybe have a bit of paper, write down what you would have marked, see how my train of thought, see if it changes whatever you're doing. Remember, the part 1 test is actually quite difficult because it is 4 categories where you have to get over 80% on each category. So you could get 3 categories, really high result, and 1 point under the 4th category, and that would result in a foul. Okay, thank you very much.